welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim, and I'm joined by Kirsty.
Yay, I'm finally back after, over a month in Japan.
Yeah.
It is really, really difficult to be back. But tadaima!
Readjusting.
The readjusting is not going smoothly. It's actually really rough. But we're back, and it's actually just in time because there's been no rest.
Yes.
We're going straight into PAX.
Yeah, so busy.
Yes.
And you'll be hosting a panel as well.
Yes, I will. I will be doing Iron Chef cosplay, which is happening 10 p.m. Friday. This Friday. I can't believe it's this Friday.
Yes.
And we've got a whole bunch of other panels as well happening, which is really exciting. We've got some trivia panels coming up.
But we've also got a very big episode this time because we've got 3 big reviews.
We do.
It's been a busy week, so...
I know, I've come back to like all of these games all of a sudden because it was like dead quiet when I left, and then boom, I've come back and it's peak season.
So we'll be checking out Alien Isolation, as well as Shadow of Mordor, as well as Sunset Overdrive.
Yes.
So lots of stuff.
It's been really, really exciting actually, just kind of seeing like Shadows of Mordor I'm interested to hear more about because it just looks like Assassin's Creed to me.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed crossed with Skyrim. So I'm excited to see, if it does, which way does it go. But I can't believe we've actually hit that time of the year.
Yeah.
Like all the big releases are really starting to come out.
Yeah, it's a good thing. As a follow-up from last week's segment as well, we've got Dermy and Don talking about toys, Skylanders and Disney Infinity from a parent's perspective. So it's an interesting one. But
well,
first up, we'll go into Sunset Overdrive.
Boy, do we have an exclusive, and it's so much of an exclusive, in fact, that nobody else on the team has had really a chance to play the game. So I'm going to review it by my lonesome. Sunset Overdrive, the next big title from Insomniac that's exclusive to the Xbox One, and it's very, how do I say, unique but not unique. So the game itself is a free roaming shooter that has these people who have been drinking overcharged drink. They turn into monsters. The monsters attack you. Later on, it's not just monsters you're fighting, blah, 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 blah. You're trying to get to the bottom of getting out of the city. That's the basic campaign. It's real simple, but the main thing that it does is it goes very, and I use this in quotation marks, punk rock. So a lot of what it is that kind of counterculture, lots of references, lots of jokes, but it also struggles a bit in that regard as well. It falls a little bit into the Borderlands trap in that it specifically references things that, I don't know, like it specifically references Reddit and NeoGAF. And I understand that you're trying to make it relatable, but that doesn't necessarily work as a result. And there is a cameo from a band in the game as well that, I mean, I'm an old man and I struggled with it. Like, it took me a second to go, really? That said though, the game itself handles competently. Like traveling through the city's fun, grinding along the rails. It's very Jet Set Radio. So you grind, you jump. It's all about doing it with flair, like killing enemies with flair and style. Activate your powers. You then become like a bit more of a killing machine. And you have to mix up your weapons, mix up all that kind of stuff to defeat the enemies in the most appropriate manner. And being Insomniac, the weapons are awesome. Like they're all great fun. There's a little bit of a haha, that's a bit funny here and that's a bit funny there, and it is a very much an Insomniac game, and it feels to me like with all of the problems they went through with Fuse, like all of the obvious focus testing and all of the obvious market research that made that game bland and grey and really sucked the life out of it, they were told on this one to just go nuts, do whatever you guys want to do. And I think they fell into the trap a little bit of just doing too much. Like they did everything. They went down all the creative routes they wanted to do. They did like with all the crazy ideas they wanted to go with. And it just doesn't mesh. For a game that's trying to be unique, it just feels a little bit generic. Like in the 90s, this would have been the perfect game. Right now, I don't know whether it's exactly what we need. Is it still worth playing? Absolutely. It's great fun. The Horde mode is what you use the single player campaign for, to build up your weapons. Horde mode is fantastic. Absolute winner there. As far as the campaign goes though, I just didn't feel it, which makes me a bit sad because I do love Insomniac's work.
Is there much sunsets happening in this game? I'm kind of confused.
I don't think there's a whole lot, but there's a lot of overdrive.
Is there? There is a lot of overdrive. This is a very OTT game.
Yeah.
To me, this just screams over the top. So Timmy, now this is a game you got to play at E3.
Yes.
So you got a bit of pre-hype going.
Yeah.
So
and it's an Insomniac game, so I'm always hyped for Insomniac games.
Well, we still have 45 more seconds to fill, so how hard would you play the game? Now, I think, obviously, this is one of the really big games that are starting to come out on the new generation of consoles. So, would you buy a console to play this game?
I think I will end up buying a console to play this game because we have the Studio Xbox One, but I think I might have to purchase one myself just to play this game.
Really? Like, you're that excited about it?
Yes. I know Jason wasn't fully into it, but for me, it just looks amazing. And
it does, and to me, it like I said, it really stands out to me. But I love games. You know, I'm not a big fan of the whole realism equals a good game kind of art style. So to me, this kind of over the top
and very colourful and punk rocky and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
I get a lot of original Borderlands in this. You know, like it was something that was a little bit different to what was happening at the time. Yeah. But the self-aware humour, you know, that's always weird when you get into like memes. You know, when you play this game in 10 years, how funny is it going to be?
Yeah, but that can be put aside because it's about the game. It's not necessarily about the references that it makes. That's in a small segment of the game. So.
Well, there you go. So will Timmy support consumerism? He will.
Last week on New Game Plus, we reviewed Disney Infinity and Skylanders Trap Team. Of course, we could only cover it from the adult's perspective. We didn't cover what it's like to be a parent or to be a kid playing these games, which is why we've brought Gerard from World Game Plus to talk about the parent's perspective. And of course, having two kids who play these games, you must have a lot of figurines, don't you?
Yes, I do, and it's great finally to have a robot on the show. Yeah, look, I've got two children under 10, and they've basically grown up with these toys. So we've got quite a collection now, and one of the big purchases, would you believe, of the toys isn't so much the children, it's my wife.
Huh.
These things, they're basically on-disc DLC, but rather than buying a character or buying a costume, you're getting a toy, something tangible. Something useful for the kids to play with. And one of the big things I know with my children growing up is they used to play with them outside of the game, which gives a bit extra value than just having them inside the game.
Which is awfully interesting because personally I just disregard these as tangible figures altogether. I just consider them as unlockables. I don't consider them as something for display or something to mess around with whenever I'm bored.
Yes, well, you're not a child. So,
I'm a child at heart, though.
Yes, look, I know, to me, I like to make sure we have the collection complete. So when we have giants and the swap characters, it's great to make sure we get all the extra ones. So we've got the characters. But to my kids, to them, they're just toys. They're just like any of the other toys. But they can also put them in their game, and they love swapping them. They love playing with them. They love leveling them up. And then they take them to their rooms, put them around their rooms, and they've got these. And these are really well made.
They really are. Although you've personally, and your kids as well, they've got some thoughts on the most recent iteration of Skylanders, don't they?
Yes, if you compare the giants, which I think was a highlight of them, the detail of them, it is a little bit missing in the new ones. And I have noticed, especially with my son, he's lost a little bit of interest in these, which is a bit pity. But especially these new Trap Team large characters, the small ones are great, but they just haven't grabbed him as much as the old ones used to.
But as well as that, your kids also approach these two different franchises with different perspectives as well, don't they?
Oh yes, definitely. I know with the Skylanders, that's very much been a focus of my son, and my daughter has latched onto Disney Infinity. And in fact, to the point where she's, in her own mind, decided the Skylanders is a boys' game and Infinity should be a girls' game. So she has all her favourite characters in there, especially the princesses.
Of course.
So we do have a bit of a differentiator there at our place on who plays what. It's good to have a variety of toys to play. It's a bit disappointing that the Skylanders didn't have more girl characters. My daughter's after that for a lot of those things for the swappables. But yeah, I know which one each one's latched onto, and we definitely have two different views of these games in our house.
And your collection is only going to get bigger once Nintendo releases Amiibo, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Well, I didn't actually watch the announcement, but when the announcement happened, I felt a great disturbance in my wallet. Like all my money cried out and was suddenly silenced.
So with that, bye-bye money. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
It's interesting to see that even still in Japan, the hype around any Dragon Ball release is huge. And I guess it's become such an ingrained part of the culture in the same way that we would look at, I can't even see, maybe The Simpsons. I would say like
Simpsons
it's
is
on that level,
definitely- Dragon Ball in Japan is the level of Simpsons here. I don't think Dragon Ball in the U.S. or Australia is the same as The Simpsons.
No.
So one of the things I do love about being on Dragon Ball Z more than any other show, I don't know if it's because I'm such a huge Rush fan or whatever, is I love groups or bands that have a huge following, but also have a small core
The
cult.
hardcore cult, yeah.
I know Dragon Ball and any work I've done it will never die. Whereas there are plenty of other shows that I've done that will probably never be thought of again. Even if the fan base around Dragon Ball shrinks down to a few thousand, there will always be some guy giving some DVD to his daughter or his son going, check this out. And it's a meme, the ultimate meme. So I love the fact that it is a worldwide phenomenon. Has a huge following, not as big as The Simpsons in the U.S., but worldwide it is a massive cult following. And that's really thrilling to be a part of.
It's funny that you say that because I've just lent out all my Dragon Ball DVDs to someone they'd seen plenty of Dragon Ball Z and GT, but they'd never seen Dragon Ball, and I felt that had to be rectified very quickly because
you feel like you got to try this.
Yeah.
What I love about the movie is what I think is great about the movie is they wrote the story in such a way because they give like Dragon Ball fan service, Dragon Ball Z fan service, and my agent came to the premiere in LA, and I asked her because she'd never seen it before, and she hasn't watched a ton of anime. I think she's watched some. And I said, well, did you follow it okay? Because you're a non-Dragon Ball. And she's like, I had no problem. It was great. I totally got it. Yeah. And I think that's a great, I don't know if it was intentional on the Japanese's part, but I think it's clever because now if you want to introduce somebody to Dragon Ball, all you got to do is say, watch Battle of Gods. Yeah. You got a movie. It covers a bunch of the flavor. Yep. And then you can say, now if you like that, I got this stack of DVDs.
Yeah. He's the rest you can watch.
This stack. It's a great gateway drug. Battle of Gods is the ultimate Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball gateway drug.
That's on the box now.
It's a gateway drug. That's totally what it is. It's awesome. I've never been happier with any other work I've ever done as Goku or any other character. And up until that point, there was work I'd done on other shows with other voices that I thought was better, but Battle of Gods turned out so great. I was in the theater. I think the 3 times I saw it in the theater, I think I cried almost every time. Yeah, I don't have a problem. I'm not a man. I mean, I don't give a crap about admitting when I cry. That's all right. I cried when I worked with Frank Welker. I don't give a shit.
Good. Sean, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry I talk so much.
No, that's all right.
Well, it's been a while since we've seen Alien in any way, shape or form, but now we have Alien Isolation.
I remember Colonial Marines so very well. I want to forget it every day.
Yes, but this certainly looks more like the original Alien film.
Which is a great thing. That movie is a great movie and it needs a great video game. And I feel it matches it.
Now, what's weird about this game is it's Creative Assembly, the guys that made the Total War series, taking a shot at this game. And
they've always had, they occasionally delve into games that aren't specifically RTSs, on specifically RTS Total War games, but this to me is the first time they've done something like this that I actually really dig. Yeah, and I think what everyone's really enjoying about this game is it's about the single alien. They're hunting you. You're a person. You're not some superhuman soldier that can shoot everything down. You're pretty much spending the entire game hiding from the alien or from the robots or from other humans as well. And it's just perfectly tense. Like, I'm just having to crab walk through everything because I am just shit scared that all of a sudden I'm gonna turn around a corner and the alien is just going to kill the shit out of me. It's amazingly terrifying and I love it. Yeah, it's not necessarily all jump scares or anything. Right, it's tension, much like with the original movie. Yeah, so it is there in a little bit, but you are fearful of this alien because it's a bit of a harder game because that alien can pretty much one-shot you as soon as it sees you. And it doesn't help that there are no autosaves. You have to manually checkpoint everything, and those checkpoints are kind of few and far between, which it makes sense because if you have too many checkpoints, it kills attention. Yeah. But at the same time, if you die, you've wasted 15 minutes. Yeah, I did lose half an hour at one point. Oof. But it all adds to the game. I think it works out really well. I did have a few gripes with it. It was a bit long for what it was. It took me about 15 hours to get through. But I think 5 of those hours I spent hands off keyboard in a locker waiting for the alien to go by. I mean, I dig the game a lot, but I don't like some of the tropes they use to kind of convey the story of the space station you're on. So there's all those audio logs or just graffiti around. It feels overused, and it's just like that doesn't really clash because you have this beautiful looking spaceship. It's just the lighting is incredible, and it has the 70s aesthetic from the original movie, but all that graffiti just kills it for me. Yeah, and there's CRTs everywhere. It's very old school sci-fi, and it's great. Really cool.
That said, I don't think it would have been as good a game if the soundtrack wasn't amazing, because that is what makes it so tense. Just even walking past the robots in the end don't really become that. They're a bit of a pushover in the end because you can just run away from them. But without the music, I think it
works.
would be a lesser game.
It absolutely works. So, look, I dig it. Tim, you seem to dig it.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a great new game to check out, Alien Isolation, it's pretty much available on everything. So give it a shot.
Shay was an assassin.
Admit it, I nearly had you.
He was a friend, a brother.
What did I miss?
Only the first hour of training.
A pity. The boy has so much potential, but so little discipline.
I have tracked the Templar as far as this coast, but I fear the rest is up to you, my friend.
You made me slaughter innocents! I will not let this happen again!
And now the man I once called brother is coming to hunt us all.
Colonel Monroe spoke highly of you, Shay. He was convinced you could become the best among us. I expect you will not disappoint.
I don't plan to, sir.
Traitor! Achilles will see you dead! You will fail!
I will kill every last man who defends him if I must.
And what is it you're doing exactly? Stealing from your brothers? Betraying me?
We don't have the right to decide that future.
The right! We have the responsibility!
You've betrayed everyone you knew. Sided with our worst enemies. And for what?
Someone must make amends.
Now, I am unashamedly a big Assassin's Creed fan, so technically I should be like falling off my chair in Squee, but I'm not.
Well, it's the release for, the previous gen consoles now, so I guess there's less hype around it, less money going into the game. It's all about Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yes, and I am very excited for Assassin's Creed Unity, but, I am unashamedly a fan of Assassin's Creed 2 because, Ezio was such an awesome character to me. I mean, he was so suave, he was lady kill, etc. But this new kind of lead character doesn't really jump out to me. Like even Edward had a lot of charisma in Pirates, so that was really cool. It hyped up the game. This guy hasn't jumped out to me in this trailer.
Yeah, and it looks to lead on from what Assassin's Creed 3 was, which is odd. They're like jumping back to an era that they've already done. I don't know what's...
Yeah, so I'd be interested to see what they do with this, I am, but I'm far more interested in Unity. So perhaps this is like the consolation prize for those people who haven't like joined the mastered race of, new console people. I don't know, is there even like a tiering now with amongst the, as you so-called, the console peasants?
Yes.
Do we have like the console merchants who are even lower? I'm not sure. Like, again, there are a lot of Assassin's Creed releases, but to me, Assassin's Creed has always been driven by the strength of its main character and the main character's storyline. And this guy's story, sure, he's getting back.
Tide people over till the next one.
Exactly.
Something that's kind of crept up on us, because I think licensed titles generally do that, but Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is something that we played a little bit of and we weren't really too keen on, but now that it's out, we've finally played some of it. So what did we think?
Well, yeah, like as you said, who would have thought in 2014 we'd get such a big title coming out of the Lord of the Rings license? Yeah. But if you notice, they didn't actually use that in the title at all. It's Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. And you'll notice that coming into the game, they've gone pretty light on the Lord of the Rings lore and history. It's a lot more about a new centralized character and his story within Mordor. And it's a lot more mature, it's pretty dark, and yeah, they've done well to bring in the license, but with the gameplay, I think we found that a lot of the gameplay was fairly heavily borrowed from a couple of other games.
Yes, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because we've seen Assassin's Creed and the Batman franchise work very well, and borrowing heavily from something that works well in your game, it's the finest form of flattery, some would say, but I think it works really well in the game. That said, the Lord of the Rings license, you can probably enjoy this game without reading the books or seeing the movies because it is pushed to the side sort of, and it doesn't really fit in the Lord of the Rings universe as well. It's kind of separate with, it mentions other things that happen in the story, but it's hard to place it in a timeline.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are deep enough in the Lord of the Rings lore to really pinpoint exactly how this is canon or not. But as you mentioned, it borrows heavily from Batman and Assassin's Creed. We've got the combat of Batman, and then we've got kind of the open world activities and the stealth killing of Assassin's Creed. But I think something they've brought to the table here is they've got the nemesis system and this whole world. They've used the open world very well to incorporate a lot of real-time events with the orcs and the way they behave.
Yeah, so basically you can take over an orc captain. You can either make him do your bidding, you can send him against other captains, you can make him a bodyguard of one of the war chiefs, all towards the goal of taking down the war chiefs in 2 separate maps. You've got, I think, 8 or 9 war chiefs total, so you can pretty much replace these war chiefs or bend them to your will in the final goal to take down some of the hands of Sauron.
Yeah, it was an interesting twist on things. And, you know, something I found quite entertaining in this game, actually, is the personality of the orcs and the way they present them. If you play this game, make sure you keep the sound up and you listen to the dialogue. So just a lot of the random chit-chatter and talk from the orcs on the field it's really quite amusing. And honestly, I actually felt a little bad sometimes killing some of these orcs, because some of them are they're kind of cute, they're kind of funny, they've got a lot of personality to them. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I think there's a little bit of online interactivity with vendettas and all the different missions that pop up here and there. But
because when you get killed by even just a grunt can do the killing blow and he'll get promoted to captain, and then all these dominoes will fall, like a power struggle will happen on the other side of the map and other orcs will fight each other, so you really get punished hard when you end up dying.
Yeah, the game knows how to rub it in when you die, really. It can be a bit mean at times. Personally, I found it a little bit difficult here and there, but I think you didn't find it quite so bad.
I found, unless I randomly got jumped on by a few captains, I was pretty okay. I had all my orcs set up as bodyguards for all the war chiefs, so they were fairly easy, and I just set them against each other. But in the end, it was pretty fun. I wasn't expecting so much from the game, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we were both really surprised by this one.
Yeah, this pretty much confirmed my suspicions. It feels like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing.
But that's not a bad thing. No, like Assassin's Creed, I mean, everything feels like Assassin's Creed. So, but this one felt really tight.
And it's like the thing, imitation is the finest form of flattery.
Exactly. So, but I've heard only really good things about this game, like long term, like people like massive time vampire, like it destroys you.
And it's the second game in the episode that we have a good license game, which is really interesting. Like even Alien, just bringing back the motion tracker is something that I didn't mention in the review. The motion tracker was fantastic, and it's just these things that you don't really get in games these days.
No, absolutely not. So, well, if you are looking, I mean, obviously we're going into a really big game release schedule now, like looking from this week onwards. So get your Shadow of Mordor out of the way, and then we can be fresh, because the actual Assassin's Creed is coming out in like a couple of weeks.
And we'll be at PAX as well.
I know, this week. So come and say hello if you see us. Pop out of the shadows.
We'll be playing games. We'll be at PAX doing things.
We'll be too busy at PAX doing things, which is going to be really, really hard.